Welcome to the QMS podcast. You'll notice that there are some new voices on the podcast now. So we are your new hosts. So I'm one of them, Kirsten Williams, and Robert.
I'm the other one. I'm Robert Ramsay.
So we have got a really exciting series lined up where we're going to do from farm through to fork. So there's a huge amount to cover within the series, but we thought before we got into the meat of it, that we would just let you know who we are and effectively meet the host. So, Robert, who is Robert Ramsay?
Yeah, so I am an agricultural consultant and beef and sheep farmer from Ayrshire. So we farm just at Loudon Hill, just on the Ayrshire-Lanarkshire border for those of you that know the area. So yeah, I do a bit of consultancy off farm and a home. We've got 50 suckler cows and 400 breeding ewes, a few pedigree shorthorns and a wee dairy beef bit on the side as well. So yeah, a bit happening. I always wonder, does anybody really want to hear about my system? Because I've spent quite a lot of time interviewing and speaking to people who've got really exciting systems, and then mine is actually quite dull.
But do you know, hearing about different people's systems is how you learn as well. So I'm going to probe you and I'm going to ask you more about your system. So I'm going to start from the back. You said you've got a little bit of dairy beef. So let's start with the dairy beef and then we'll get into the other cattle and sheep.
Yep. So we actually bought a wee bit of land down the road, which wasn't ideal for running cows and bulls on. So we basically upped the sheep numbers a wee bit and then wanted something to manage grass a bit. And at that point, the dairy beef story was you could buy a dairy calf fairly cheap, fairly affordable, and turn it into a reasonable store. So I got in tow with a client and friend who he ran some Fleckvie Montbeliard type cows, and his bottom end cows went to Belgian Blue, so we were buying those calves, and for quite a number of years we're doing quite well at them. You know, there's a good turn at them. However, the price he can get for those calves now, I just can't quite get my head round having to spend that kind of money. And I sat and did some numbers actually, and I can actually winter a cow cheaper now than I can buy a calf. So we've come to that kind of tipping point. Also, there's more to it than that. You can keep more calves in a smaller space, and there's a place for it. And I do admire those dairy beef systems, but we've upped our sheep numbers a bit, and we'll certainly be doing less, if not maybe stopping doing that, in favour of probably more sheep.
So sheep then, what breeds are you working?
So it's a kind of white-faced mongrel type of thing we're working with. We started off with Clun ewes, and then they've got some Aberfield in them. We dabbled with a Highlander for a wee while, which I know some of these breeds will be turning people off. I think we've now got quite a functional ewe with a fair bit of Aberfield in her, and we've actually started hogs this year, and some Gimmers are lambing to an Ultimate, so Graham Lofthouse Easy Care, and they are for hogs anyway. They've been fantastic, different world, and certainly looking forward to seeing what lambs out of Gimmers are going to do as well. So yeah,
so you describe it as a white-faced mongrel. What's the aim of the system? What are you trying to get to?
I am aiming for a low-cost system, to be honest. So my money's made on the road. So my consultancy business is my diversification. So the system's built around me not being here all the time. So happily now in my new career, I'm here a lot more. So I'm more involved in it, but I really don't want to spend time working with individual sheep. So I'm perfectly happy working in pens of sheep and working in sheep in numbers. You know, there's actually nothing better than having a day, ideally in the sun, working with sheep. But when we start treating them as individuals, I hate sheep. So my goal, I suppose, is to have that. And it's not a hands-off, total easy care, don't care system. It's a lower input while retaining that high output kind of job. So I suppose what I'm trying to do is the same as what most other breeders are trying to do. It's just trying to kind of hit that sweet spot between what labour we've got, making the most of grass, minimal use of feed. We grow a bit of forage crops for cattle and sheep as well, so we can make use of those and really limit the lorries coming up the road. So yeah, basically just trying to create a simple system. And I appreciate I've also probably had a simple system when we had pure clean ewes, and now I've made it all complicated by adding lots more stuff in. But it's also quite good fun, that mixing it up a bit and making change.
So when you're adding loads of new stuff in, have you got an eye on data? Or what are you managing data-wise?
It's funny, this is me this is warts and all. So my level of data recording for my business is nothing like as good as it is for a lot of my clients' businesses. So at the moment, data-wise, if you've got a lump out the end of your ear, it means you've done something wrong and you go down the road. So we cull pretty hard. And to be fair now, the cull ewe is a product. She's got a real value and a real role to play. So I'm not sorry to see them go. So anything that's causing problems gets its ear notched and gets away. So that I know it's not conventional or what we automatically think of as data, but it's my main data point, if you like, is on that shedder. Obviously, we're weighing lambs and I suppose we're kind of dabbling in, monitoring growth rates a bit, but it's a fairly straightforward system. So certainly data going forward, it's going to drive us all, and it's getting easier and easier to get that data. I just need to, cattle-wise, we've done a bit more, but certainly in the sheep world, we're still pretty straightforward.
I think it's always a challenge, isn't it? Time. Like you've said, you've got a diversification that is off farm, that time will be limited. So then having the time to analyse and such like will be tricky.
Well, in the consultancy world, we sell time for a living, and sometimes you sell out. Sometimes you just don't have time. So there's things I'd love to do. So the pinch points for my both jobs. So Ajax in the spring, lambing and calving in the spring. All three jobs happen at the same time. So like the likes of what would be great for my sheep system would be to go and performance record everything, tag at birth, monitor them right through. But basically until the second half of May, we work really pretty hard at lambing time, and that's why I'm feeling pretty tired just now. But work pretty hard keeping everything alive and getting things off to the best start. But I don't have the time to invest in that bit at the moment, and that's an excuse, but it's something I need to work on and adapt. Maybe I'm lambing too early. Maybe there's easy options, but certainly there's plenty to go at.
You're maybe lambing too early, but there is a ticking time bomb of a deadline of the 15th of May for the other thing you do too. So it's...
Yeah. And I really don't want to start. I have had crazy thoughts of, can you start lambing on the 16th of May, but you can't. It's I suppose you probably could, but no. I don't fancy finishing up for the Highland Show.
And cattle as well. So how many suckler cows have you got?
Yeah, so there's 50 cows. So they are shorthorn Anguses, probably with a heavier lean towards the shorthorn. We've got a small pedigree herd of shorthorns, which I've got 4 cows and started them. Again, back to the time thing, I'm not looking to sell or to turn out bulls to sell at 2-year-old. In Stirling, it's not going to, or other markets are available, I should say, but it's not where we're at the moment. But basically, I wanted to breed a nice wee, bring some heifers in, breed a nice wee herd of cows, and I've had 15 consecutive bull calves out of my 4 pedigree shorthorn cows. So get into pedigrees, you'll never be poor again. But to be fair, they run pretty commercially, and they make decent stores. They've been fine. But I've got another
So
two to calve this year, so pray for a female.
and for your cattle, then you're selling store cattle.
Yep. So we're selling year-old stores, or primarily year-old stores. So cows are outwintered, or mostly outwintered. Usually on kale. This year we grew a bit of fodder beet as well, and so the cow, we're lucky we've got a fairly dry farm, high rainfall area, but fairly dry underfoot, so we can carry cows outside. So those cows run basically October till about the tail end of February, beginning of March outside, and then they come in to calve at the moment. That's just, we're a wee bit later growing grass, so that kind of fits the system.
And for being your first year of having them in fodder beet, how has calving gone?
Well enough that I could get it wrong by boasting about it just now, and it could all go wrong. But so far so good. They've been calving away really quite nice. The type of winter we had a pretty wet, interesting winter. In hindsight, it probably was quite a kind winter for stock in the southwest. Like, it was, we didn't have any snow. We had a few days of a little snow. We had some frost, which is great for that system, but it was mostly just a bit of rain, quite mild, not too bad. And cows came in just about perfect condition wise. They were fine. We ran some younger, we ran in-calf heifers and like calved heifers on it too. So they came in a wee bit sharper. They were just, you could see them just changing a wee bit. But so far so good. We've got another, we'll be 2/3 of the way through calving, and they've gone fine. But you know how it goes. You don't say too much.
Touch every bit of wood that's around you.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's my system. And well, some of it, and I suppose our systems will become more apparent as we go through and speak to other people as well. So our experiences and things will come out. But what about your story, Kirsten? Where are you based, and what do you specialise in?
Yes, so I'm up in the northeast in Aberdeenshire. So me and my husband, we farm a tenanted unit near Tarland. We have got cattle, so we've got both pedigrees and commercials. So we've got shorthorns are the pedigrees, and then it's blue greys that we work for the commercials. We've got pedigree and commercial sheep as well. So the sheep, we've got Beltexes as the main of our pedigrees. And the crosses, we have got Suffolk mules to Cheviots to Blackies. So we've got a bit of everything. We got into the farm about 5 years ago and came with the Suffolk mules, but it's definitely, I would say, over time we've moved to the smaller kind of lower maintenance type of sheep. We also do Christmas turkey production as well, so that all starts in July. The countdown to Christmas starts scarily, and then we do bed and breakfast pigs as well. So we do from wean to finish with those. We also have some arable crop as well, so we grow spring barley and then forage crops as well. So we outwinter the cattle, and the sheep are on crop system as well. So there's quite a bit going on at home. And then just like yourself, Robert, I'm a freelance consultant as well, just in the spare time. So yeah, plenty going on. And interesting, like you're saying that you're on your cattle and sheep had quite a easy winter. It would be quite the opposite for us up here. We had a huge amount of snow, a huge amount of rainfall in January, but it's really nice now that we're in the spring months. The countryside is changing. Grass has decided to go green, which is lovely, and it's nice to see the end of it as well, isn't it? And the new life come with spring.
It's funny how it works out, because when you were in the depths of it all, and we were pretty dry when you were getting it really wet, and you kind of sit all smug in January and February when things are quite good, and then we've had the slowest wet, just a terrible spring so far. So we're on now day 2 of dry weather. So we're at the moment we're mid to end of April, and there's very little ploughing done. There's very little grain in. it's interesting how it goes. And I think we need to keep that in mind when it comes to when things are really bad. It does change. Things do get better. And also when it's really good, maybe we shouldn't get depressed, but when it's really good, it won't last forever either. So
I think that's what's quite interesting about us both being podcast hosts for this, is that we see different sides of the country. I'm in the northeast, you're in the southwest, and climatically they are very, very different. And we've definitely seen that this winter, haven't we?
Yeah, no, it is amazing, and it's taught me over the last lots of years. It's not that far apart. It's maybe 3-hour drive, but it's can be polar opposites. What about on your pig story, Kirsten? How does that system work? So we don't really, in this part of the world, there's not a great deal of pigs at all. But contract rearing pigs, what is the operation?
Yeah, so it works quite well in that we supply the sheds, the labour, and the straw. Then we get the muck back. So that's quite nice. We produce the straw ourselves, and we get the muck back for the all essential nutrients onto the arable ground, and then it stays here. We're quite big fans of it only leaves if it's going on 4 legs. We don't like nutrients to walk off otherwise. So we try to feed our own feed, use our own straw, try and keep as much of the nutrients in there as possible. Like bringing in, importing fertilizers and such, like yes we have to do it, but it's expensive, and we see just now with problems worldwide with conflict how quickly prices can go up as well. So it fits quite nice that we get that muck back as well. So they work quite well. We almost call it the fertilizer factory, to be honest, because they're great at converting their feed into something that's really quite valuable for us. So it works well, and I guess that's with this podcast series. We are looking at the supply chain, and red meat supply chain. There's so many different elements to it, isn't there? And there's some parts that we know very well. We've spoken of our own businesses at home and our experiences, that we understand the producer. There's actually a lot in the producer, isn't there, from your breeder through to your feeder. There's nutrition, there's the vet side, there's a huge amount goes in there. But I think myself, the bit I probably don't investigate enough or understand enough is what happens on the other side. So I get it. You produce the animal, you take it to the abattoir, or you take it to the market. It's the whole part, the food chain part, the cooking, the chefs, the retail. I think that side of it is something as a producer that I maybe don't understand enough. So I'm quite looking forward to getting into this series and delving further into that, and I guess just taking people on a bit of a journey with it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting if you speak to people at the market, you hear, I think this is a generalisation, but I think everybody is the same, that we've got that farmers are pretty well read, they understand their part of the chain, and that would be the producer, the store producer could speak to the finisher. The feedback story there would be, if we can improve that, it would be great, if there's a better understanding, but at least the breeder understands what the finisher's doing. Thereafter, we don't get it. We don't necessarily understand what's happening. Like at the moment, the story is that beef is maybe not dear enough for the finisher and too dear for the consumer. And we hear that, that people will just stop buying it. We need to know that from someone. We need to hear what the market signals are and what's actually happening further down that chain, because there are things that are happening, like pack sizes and portion sizes, and there is demand for the product that we're producing, and I certainly am very interested in knowing what happens further down that line. I'm also really looking forward to chatting to people that are at our end of the supply chain, but certainly that latter part of the story, I think, is really quite exciting, and hopefully something that we can capture. I think it fits a podcast. I think a podcast's a great way of having that chat when you've just arrived in the pub. You're nice and relaxed, you're nice and you're fairly open, and I think we can, without having a fully scripted interview, and you get a lot more out of people, and tend to get, if you can get people relaxed, you tend to get a bit more information out of them. So hopefully we can have that relationship with people over the next few weeks and months.
Yeah, and I think it's just farm to fork. It's an expression that we hear a lot. It definitely is an expression we hear a lot. I guess it's understanding what happens from farm gate to the plate. And do you know what the thing I like about podcasts is it's hearing the stories, and it's the people that are behind it. It's not all about the science and the why and why does this happen, why does that happen. It's the people, and I think that's what makes agriculture what it is. It's the characters that's within it. Yeah, I think it'll be really nice just to tease out probably some stories along the way of just some really good people within the industry, all the way from the producer right to the end consumer. And we've got a plan just now, but as we talk to people, the plan's probably going to go out the window, and we're probably going to think, oh, we need to bring them in now, or we've missed a whole link here. We need to pull that in. So looking forward to it. I think it'll be good.
Yep. Nope. Can't wait.
So I guess just follow us along for the journey through the supply chain, right through to what gets delivered on our plates, and to hear from the people behind it.
So our next episode will be with a producer, so with a store producer, a breeder, and we'll really look forward to getting the ball rolling. So today is only about, or this podcast is only about, it's a starter for 10. It's only a wee intro to us, and a bit of context for us. But the next, our next episode, we'll get really in about it and get the ball rolling. So hopefully you'll join us for that. And if you're enjoying these podcasts, it would be good if you can subscribe to the podcast and follow us along the way.
Great stuff. Let's get started.